Hello everyone and welcome to part 2, the second and final part of the Sonic the Hedgehog The Lost Worlds playthrough, and it is time for the Hidden Palace Zone. Oh folks, I've been waiting for this part of the playthrough because I love this place so much. I love this zone, it's just such a pretty zone to look at, and it really is a shame that we didn't get this zone in the final build of the game. And this is probably the most fascinating and well-known of the zones that was scrapped from Sonic 2. And this was the first one I learned about. And I still remember learning about it around 2007 once I started getting internet access at school. And I was on Wikipedia and I seen a screenshot of Hidden Palace and I was like, wow, this looks like such a neat, mysterious place. And then I learned it's not in the game. Well, I guess it technically is in the game because you can access it with an action replay code. But it's just a broken, glitchy mess. There's not much left. Which kind of makes me think that it was deleted so late into the game that at that point I feel like they should have just finished it and left it in. Plus, it would have been kind of neat if they went with the original story of Sonic going here after he got all 7 emeralds and getting to learn how to be Super Sonic. But yeah, Hidden Palace, such a nice place. It's probably my second favorite Lost Sonic level behind the Wood Zone, but I still like this place almost as much. And it was like it blew my freaking mind. It was like a whole new world when I started learning about how there was so much stuff that wasn't in the final build of Sonic 2, and when I started learning about emulators and started browsing YouTube and seeing all these screenshots and videos and stuff I'd never seen before, lost stuff from Sonic 2, and I feel like Sonic 2 has the most interesting development story and cycle, and has probably the most content out of all the Sonic Genesis games, and it's a gift that keeps on giving, and there have been a lot of fan-made games like Sonic 2 Delta and Sonic 2 Long Version, and there's some pretty fun fan interpretations of the lost levels of Sonic 2. Now, Act 1 of Hidden Palace was mostly just reused from the prototype. Act 2 is completely rebuilt fan version here. And I gotta be really careful here at the beginning of the level because there's a spot where there's a bottomless pit and you can get stuck underwater and you can get stuck in a wall. And I don't want to get stuck in a wall. It's right here. You gotta make sure you jump over that very carefully. Luckily, the water doesn't move Sonic like it does in some games. Those little water streams. But yeah, Hidden Palace has this theme here that you hear, the track 10 from Sonic 2. This song goes unused in the final game and was in the glitchy mess version in the final version. However, in the prototype, the Mystic Cave 2-player theme plays, which kind of makes me wonder which song was intended for this, or if both were at some point. I feel like the fact that Hidden Palace was removed so late into the development cycle that maybe this song was meant for it. But yeah, it's too bad this one never got used for the final game. This is such a neat place, and it's a shame that most of the levels that got cut from Sonic 2 were the American-designed levels, which kind of shows the tensions between the Japanese and North American staff that were working on Sonic 2 at the time. At least that's how I view it. It should just be about boss time once again. Those emeralds are not breakable here. Some versions of this Sonic 2 they are, some they're not. Most of the badniks here are all original, meant for Hidden Palace, like the dinosaurs and those zoomy things there with the wheels on them. And those badniks, although there's a variation of those badniks in Sonic 3 Carnival Night Zone. And then I feel like there's a version of those as well in the Sonic Blast, but that game sucks. Ooh, even in Hidden Palace, I'm not safe from the enemy placement. But at least I got me a shield now, and I'm maneuvering through here quite nicely. But yes, it is now boss time. Let's see what version of... Oh, we get the Mystic Cave boss this time. This one's not too bad, although it can be tricky. Although since I took the invincibility frames when I lost my rings, that made it a little bit easier to just stand there and keep bonking them. And that was a fun little adventure in Hidden Palace Zone, if I do say so myself. Always a treat to visit this place. And let's see what's next, shall we, folks? Ah, yes, Casino Night Zone. Now you're thinking, Casino Night Zone is in the final version of Sonic 2. And yes, it is true. But however, the version and the prototype of the game look drastically different. I like this version of it more. I think it suits it better. And I like the slowed down, jazzier version of the music here. And somehow I didn't get crushed there. Yay. I'll take that. Let's just keep going. But yeah, I like the greens and the blues and the pinks and all the pretty colors here and the neon. It makes it look very much more casino-y to me, anyways. I feel like they should have just kept these assets. Now, the prototype version of Casino Night Zone wasn't very far along, at least in the Simon Y version, which is the prototype I keep referring to a lot when I say the prototype, because for the longest time it was the prototype of Sonic 2. I think a few more prototype builds have come out since, and I believe fans have recreated a couple of them here and there. But yeah, for the longest time that was the prototype of Sonic 2. But yeah, in that version, there's not much to say about Casino Night Zone because it's a very glitchy mess and a lot of stuff's still not where it's supposed to be yet. But it still looks nice. At least the parts that aren't glitchy. But yeah, I remember whenever I was in 6th grade and I didn't have a computer at home at the time, so I would talk my teachers into letting me print off a bunch of screenshots from Sonic 2 beta and all that kind of stuff, because it was like I wanted to keep these, I wanted to look at these and study them, and it's like, what is this? And I remember one time I got in trouble because I ran one of the school printers out of ink. Or no, it was paper. I ran it out of paper because I just started printing off a bunch of random screenshots of games and TV shows. But I didn't have a computer at home at the time, so it was like I wanted to bring Google Images home. There were a few times I tried to take some of the screenshots from these Sonic prototypes and turn them into like comics and stuff, but it never really panned out, and most of the time I just wanted to save those screenshots, and I'm kind of glad that I still have a few of those old printings because a lot of those Sonic websites are long gone now. Which is kind of a shame. I don't know when the S2 beta site went down, but eventually it merged with the Sonic Retro page, which it was a spin-off of Sonic Retro, I do believe. But it seemed a little bit more intriguing when it was still its own website. But yeah, most of Casino Night is still the same here as it is in the final game. It's just the redesigned graphics here. Yes, even the boss. The Casino Night boss. Not a big fan of this boss battle, but I'll get through it. Just gotta jump on him a few times, just like any other Eggman boss battle. And I should be able to get him, and there it is. There we go, folks. That's the stuff. And go ahead and bonk the capsule. Bonk. And rescue the animal buddies once again. You're free, little fellas. Run. The casino is no place for wild animals. Alright, Cyber City Zone. And this is the final zone in the game, folks. And probably the most difficult. And this one's interesting too, if I say so myself. This one actually stays fairly true to what was intended for this zone. It was meant to be like a 2 or 3 act zone, and it was supposed to come later in the game, and the backgrounds were Sonic Spinball. Well, the backgrounds were reused for Sonic Spinball for the level The Machine, which is the 3rd level in that game. And so a lot of the assets that weren't used for the scrapped zone went to that. There's also talk that some Hidden Palace assets were used for Toxic Caves, but I don't see that anywhere. I keep a sharp eye open for that stuff, but there's nothing that screams, hey, this is a Hidden Palace object. I could be wrong, or I'm just not looking right, but who knows. But yeah, Cyber City Zone, it was originally in the prototype called Genocide City Zone. I think there was like some kind of misinterpretation or something along the lines there. And so this was another name for the zone. Although Genocide City Zone does sound kind of badass. I can see why they would change it though for a kid's game. But yeah, this zone actually never got developed, although there are a few sketches. There are a few sketch drawings, and one of the acts, I guess, was far enough along with the design that they reworked it into Metropolis Zone Act 3. That's I think this zone would have been similar enough to Metropolis Zone that that's probably why it got cut, along with just time constraints. But yeah, this, since there's like no in-game stuff, nothing was transferred over, there were a bunch of level chunks, a bunch of drawings, and basically level chunks. Basically what that is just the stuff that was meant to be programmed, chunks of like pixels. And there was enough there that all the acts were designed for this zone, they were just never implemented into the game. So we have like full maps to work off of, and those were released not too long ago. At least at the time of recording this. At least it feels like it wasn't too long ago. So yeah, this one stays kind of true to the concept of the Cyber City Zone, I feel. But yeah, after this, that's the end of the game. Ends kind of quickly, I guess, but it's about the length of Sonic 1. I mean, you get, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 or 7 zones. So I mean, it's a game, but once you manage to master it, you can get through it in roughly half hour, 45 minutes. I would definitely like this game though a little bit more if the enemy design and level design was tightened up a bit. But still not overall a bad experience. I think I mostly enjoy it more for the just for the Sonic 2 stuff. Just because I love all things Sonic 2. It's definitely in my top 5 Sonic games. Now, no, there's technically no final boss in this game, spoiler alert. And I didn't collect any of the Chaos Emeralds, which Yeah, I never showed off any of the special stages. Which, hanging on to rings is a challenge, so it just didn't seem like that would be possible. But yeah. Boing. Got these Sky Chase badniks in this one. And the music here is Casino Night 2 player. Which I like this song. I like the soundtrack for Sonic 2. I like all the music in that game. There's a lot of good ones. I find myself humming along to a lot of Sonic music when I'm at work. Although the final boss theme plays, I guess technically this would be the final boss. So here we go, folks. And this is the Metropolis Zone boss. And it's easy enough. Just as long as I can keep a hold of a ring and just hit them in the right places. And we'll be Gucci, folks. Ooh. And go ahead and get rid of that last balloon. And bonk. And yeah, folks, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for this. Eggman has been defeated. And another Animal Buddy capsule has been opened. Run, fellas. And that's gonna do it for Cyber City Zone, folks. Let's see what's next. Oh, Credits Zone. Which is basically just Sky Chase Zone. Where we just see the credits going by. You can't do anything to the credits. There's nothing here. There's no rings. So I'm just gonna fly around, I guess. And let the credits do their thing. Give the credit where credit is due. Although, I don't know. Most of those credits are left into the fan game. I mean, it's cool to give the original people credit, but I don't know. They didn't really do much for this, did they? But folks, this has been a fun adventure. I'd give it a solid 6 out of 10. It's a fun game to come back to from time to time, even if it's not an official game. But yeah, folks, this has been Fromark with the Fromark Plays, as always, and I will see you all in whatever it is I decide to do next. Thank you for watching, folks. I will see you next time.